Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. It's time to make something happen. Visit MakeSomethingHappen.TV to be a guest on our show.
Showcasing Henry Ford, consultant, speaker, publisher of Vision's newsletter, and author. Producer Jerome Lee Brown, executive producer, Altogether Marketing LLC. This is a Mason Wiggins Media production.
Power of branding. Logo, slogan, colors, website, customer service, product experience, company values, and you. Make a touchdown with your branding today with Altogether Marketing. Visit altogether.biz. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome to another webisode of MakeSomethingHappen.TV. Our showcase today is none other than the Mr. Henry Ford. Now, Henry and I go back over 20 years, and probably a little bit before that, he was at a distance, someone that I was looking up to because other people were looking up to him because he's this prolific speaker, an excellent public speaker. And he doesn't have a lot about that in his bio here, because he's had another career, but he's someone he's been through the years, so he's still been an encourager, a coach, a mentor, and just really just helping people, empowering people through his statements. He has a newsletter called Visions, and he's written several books. He's best known, more in latter years, as I say, for Success is You and Me, correct?
Oh, yes.
Yes, it
definitely.
is. Yeah, definitely. So happy to have him here again. He's a speaker, consultant, and obviously an author. And he's authored 4 books, as a matter of fact, including Success is You, The Power of Association, Perspectives, Reflections and Perspectives. This is his latest book, and Success is You and Your Faith. And I had missed that one as well. So can all these books be found on Amazon, Henry?
Everything is available on Amazon.
Okay, so we'll have to get our Henry Ford collection going. Not the cars, that would be great too, but these books. The cars cost lots of money. These the written word has more value than you can afford to buy those cars, right?
Oh, right. If you get the words, you can get the car later.
Right, exactly. He's spent 36 years in corporate America, and he's having awards and just acclamations. But further ado, we want to get started, but maybe some of the little funny things, we always on our resumes, especially when we came up, always thinking what our interests are and things that we like. He likes Reese's peanut butter cups, and that's not an endorsement. Okay. All right, Henry, let's get started. All right, so tell us what made you even come up with this latest piece, this latest work, Reflections and Perspectives, Powerful Life Lessons by Henry Ford. I think this is awesome. Sometimes when we look back at our past and we use it as a crutch not to go forward. We kind of I should say a crutch, we protect ourselves and our failures. We don't really know that's what we're doing, but when you on the outside looking in, would you agree that's what we do?
Definitely. I can always make an excuse for not doing something based on something that didn't work in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I interact with people, I can always, if I wanted to take the negative approach,
Yes.
I could be negative because somebody hurt me yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that's said is that if you let yesterday's hurts bring you to today, you're going to bleed on somebody that did not cut you.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. And that's going to lead me to ask you the next question. Though, what's the most powerful lesson? They all are. Obviously, you put them in this book, but what do you think really catapulted you or put you on the path to where you needed to go as you looked back, as you reflected?
Well, I think one of the things that actually I believe this is universal,
Mm-hmm.
is that people's perceptions of you and what they say and what you buy into can cause you to either grow or they can cause you to shrink. And if we're not moving ahead, we're basically shrinking. And what I found is you have to take their input, and you might consider it, but if it's too negative, you can't focus on it. You can't let other people's opinions get in your way of moving forward.
And what's the best way for us to do that?
I think the best way, one of the best ways, is to surround yourself with positive people. I get up every morning and I look at people that I look up to and want to be like, and I want to see what they have to say. And basically, they have to say positive things about almost any and all situations.
Right.
They don't take the negative approach. And what I do is try to buy into them. I'm a big social media fan, and
Yes, you are.
one thing people have told me is, many people have said, well, Facebook is so negative, as an example. I said it's negative if you tie into the people that have negative perceptions and express themselves negatively and talk down about other people. I said there's a group of people out on Facebook that if you tie into them and follow them, you'll wonder what's taking you so long to move yourself ahead.
Absolutely.
You get jealous. You're one of them.
Oh, wow, Henry, thank you.
I can look at your page and be inspired. You know that we all have down days.
Oh, yes, yes.
And I have down days, and I can look at people like you and Dolores Presley and just a number of people that are always expressing something positive. It makes me feel guilty. I said, why am I in this funk?
Right.
I can't stay here if I
Why
want to
be
be
thou
like
cast down, oh my soul?
Right. Right.
Yeah, definitely. That's great for you to say that, because sometimes people do look at social media like that, but it's true. It's what we're focusing on. It's really not that social media is bad or social media is negative or this or that in a bad light. It's what we're following.
Right.
Yeah, and sometimes it's easier to feed into that negativity because we're already down, even though we don't even like what we're reading. But it's easier just to be lazy and just sit there and wallow in that, and then the hours go by and days go by, and our situation hasn't gotten any better. It's
Right.
Right, so then that's our fault. It's not because you fed into some negative stuff. It's not their fault, or its fault, or whatever. Yeah. So, is there a particular chapter or that you want to recommend that we go to first? I assume it's not in not in the chronological order.
Well, not exactly, but I like the first chapter, and it's where the book starts off, reflecting back to Fort Knox, Kentucky. And one of the reasons I like that chapter is I was introduced to a gentleman there. I wasn't introduced, I met him along with 199 other people who were taking basic training. And during that basic training, I met a young man by the name of Charles Hatcher. And I didn't realize it, but Charles Hatcher would become, or was, Edwin Starr.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know it at the time. I know he sang whenever we had a chance, and that wasn't often, but in front of the barracks he had a little group and he'd sing, and he sounded good. And the thing that impressed me about him then, and it impresses me more now as I reflect back, is that he has such a powerful voice. And when we came back from basic training, we walked back, 18 miles. We had 90 pounds on our backs.
Wow.
And Edwin Starr was a draftee and I was a volunteer. And so you would expect him to be real down and real negative. But what happened was we would, on our forced field march back to the barracks, we would take turns rallying our particular company. Edwin was in B company, I was in A company. And Edwin Starr was calling out the things that made people rise to the occasion.
Okay.
And I can't repeat some of them because, it was all guys. But anyway, he was the voice of Company B and I was the voice of Company A. And when you're walking through the mountains in Kentucky, you hear echoes and everything.
Oh, wow.
And he sounded so good. And then it was my turn. And you know, I wasn't ready to quit my day job in the Army and start singing, obviously. But Edwin Starr would look across the road, and as my voice subsided, and he was ready to take over, he'd do this.
Wow.
He gave me a thumbs up, and I thought, well, that's encouraging. Well, then it was encouraging, it was life-enhancing when I arrived at this point in my life.
Yeah.
Because what I realized was, here is a guy that was top-rated, he became a top-rated singer, and he was giving a thumbs up to somebody whose voice couldn't carry a bucket of water. So he was an encourager.
Yes, yes. He didn't think so highly of himself that he didn't have enough to give someone else, because we all have our own gifts. Where we're the rising, where we're the star. And for him, yeah, that's awesome. That's phenomenal. And that's something that you give back to other people. Would you agree?
Well, that's something I owe other people, because as he and other people give it to me,
yes,
I can't give it back to him.
Correct.
Unfortunately, he's passed away. Even the people that are still here with us, I can't necessarily give it to them. Some of them don't particularly need it, or they're not at this time. But there's always people out there that are looking at you as an example.
right.
And we don't realize that, but I've had people walk up to me and engage me in conversation, and they say, I remember you spoke 10 years earlier, and I'm thinking, what did I say? You know, I hope I did right. So yes, the gifts we get, we owe to somebody else. I can't take them with me.
Right, right, yeah. Well, you're amazing. You've the time that I've known you and gotten to know you, you definitely have given your gifts back to others, and definitely appreciate, you know, being a mentee of yours. And you know, sometimes we're not the mentor relationships aren't always formal. Like you said, you know, looking back and as you do your reflections, Edwin was a mentor.
One that I didn't realize.
Yeah, yeah. And I know you've got the pictures in here. This is really really good. So guys, let's see. This is one here. You're receiving an award from your investment education that you were involved in. Was this the Black Data?
No, that's
okay,
the National
that.
Association of
Okay.
Investors Corporation.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Wow. So tell us about your time there, or how that, you know, influenced you.
Well, I was an employee at General Motors, and after I was hired by the company, it turned out they were involved in a lawsuit, antitrust suit. So the company that I was with was Euclid, and Euclid built off-highway equipment. Anyway, the court decided that there was an agreement where Euclid would divest itself, General Motors would divest itself of Euclid. So it came time for us to get our stock. I was in the stock savings plan, and I'd only been in it a few months when this happened, so General Motors gave us all our money. So, okay, I had 5 whole shares of stock. I decided that, okay, I might as well sell this stock. I don't know anything about stock, and put the money in the bank. And I went downtown Merrill Lynch building, and at the time there was a few older guys who at this point would be younger than I am now. But they were looking at the screen.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what they were doing. Every once in a while they'd jump up and run, and they said sell or buy. I said, this is fascinating. I didn't learn this in my neighborhood, in my school.
Right, right.
Anyway, I became involved in the investment education movement, and my first observation was, first national conference was, there was 500 people there, and there was about 10 people that looked like me. And I decided, this is not good.
Yes.
Well, the reality was that because we, as our community, was not exposed to investment education, it turns out that we were not there, not because we were not invited, we were not there because we didn't know it existed. And so I approached the chairman of the corporation nationally and reminded him, you know, social obligation and all this, and he demonstrated why he was the chairman. He said, we can't focus our advertising in the black community, but if you run across church groups or whoever you run into that you feel could use this information, we'll be glad to mail out a packet. So he got me involved, and 10 years later they acknowledged my efforts working through with Black Enterprise and some other organizations as being that person that helped promote investment education in the African American community.
Wow.
So that award was a culmination of that 10 years of effort.
You know, I had alluded to the data, the black data employees. What was
Black
that?
Data
Since I brought it up,
Processing
data
Associates.
processors, you know,
Well,
to say something about it.
That group existed and still exists today because the need for it, we were underrepresented in the technology area also.
Okay, right.
And I happen to be a computer programmer, and I met someone, and it was an organization, and I became involved in that because it was a place where you could bring your, not just your talents, but you could bring your concerns and your lack of support that you did not get at your workplace. You could bring it all together, and people that look like you had an interest in helping you succeed, and so it was a networking group, is a networking group.
Yes.
And it was powerful because it helped me realize that I was not out there by myself. And it helped me learn. I got to travel. I started doing presentations. That was part of the speaking groundwork that I had, was doing presentations nationally at our conferences, and you know, it gave me a lot of, in fact, that's how I met Les Brown.
Oh, okay.
I met Les Brown as another circumstance. I was late getting back from lunch to an annual conference in Chicago, and you know me, I don't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to go into my session late.
Exactly.
So I was just walking the hallway of the hotel, and Les Brown, being the entrepreneur he is, had made himself available as a presenter last minute at the BDPA conference.
Wow.
And he was smart enough to leave the door open. So there was an open door, there was a closed door in the session I was supposed to go to.
Okay.
There was an open door, and Les Voice's booming voice came through the doorway, and I said, I wonder what this is.
Wow.
So I met him, I heard him, I met him a year later in Los Angeles. I ended up going to the Les Brown Speaker School.
Wow.
So sometimes the closed door is an opportunity for you to do something else.
Right, to keep your mind open while
You have to
something
keep
is closed, and be going back to what you said at the beginning of the show about being positive, you know, reflecting on the positive and not the negative.
Right.
Yeah, and because of you, I got to meet Les Brown.
Oh,
Went
that's
up,
right.
yeah, I wanted the Black Hero Show that year, and made my $20 investment, you know, going to the show. I said, I'm going to meet Les Brown, and I'm going to get him to say something to me.
And you did. I think you were the only one, as I recall, that interviewed him when he was in town that time.
Wow, that's crazy. Are you kidding?
I was jealous, too. Because
You set it up?
Yeah, but I wasn't there.
Okay, all right. Oh my goodness, yeah, that was amazing. And Monica Green, might as well just, you know, throw that shout out there, because I had my iPad. You know, people were recording on their iPads a lot, you know, during that time. So I had mine, and we did, you know, we did that shot, and they gave me a drop, you know, for this show, recommending MakeSomethingHappen.TV.
That is something.
Baby Brown's baby boy.
That's how I met Monica, too.
Really? Okay.
Through you.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So we're running in the right circles.
Yeah, and you know, so it's, things happen, like you say, it's divine, it's already ordered, but we just have to step into it. If we don't step into the pool, the ripple can't happen.
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's amazing. You can use that if you want to.
Oh yeah, if I can remember it, I'll use it.
Right, if I can remember that I even said it, right, but to go back to this recording. Yeah, but I was reading down some of the headings here, and I like this, you had, do we sow seeds of doubt or of great expectations, racism, and a few other isms like that. Superior, inferior, or equal. Letter to a white associate, going to breakfast with while black. Bias of any form. Let's put in some of your reflections or your comments with those.
Oh boy. I've got plenty there. I have been in situations. I was actually consulting at the company I retired from when the O.J. Simpson trial culminated, and I was called into an office I thought to receive a work assignment. And the reality is I was called in because somebody wanted to know, they wanted to vent because they were upset that we were trying O.J. Simpson and Mark Furman instead of O.J. Simpson. And they wanted to know from me when the emphasis changed. And my response, of course, was that I didn't know we were trying either one of them. I thought we were working.
Right.
And the conversation went downhill from there, but I ended up writing a letter to a white associate as my written response because I didn't want to become engaged in a heated conversation.
Exactly.
He said, she said, and of course when it boils down to it, who's going to believe me anyway? So I wrote my comments about that.
Okay, look, you can find it in this book, so definitely go to Amazon and look for this book, and you'll be able to read the whole piece there. But at the beginning of the chapter, you have one of your famous quotes: "Don't become consumed by thoughts of superiority or concerns of inferiority. You had absolutely nothing to do with your creation." Henry Ford, author, speaker, consultant. That's awesome.
I tell my audiences when I'm allowed to. I don't want to become. I don't want to be bleeped.
Oh, you're right.
And there's nothing coming up that you have to bleep, but basically we laid around in the womb for 9 months. We didn't do anything to become black or white,
Yes.
or short or tall. We didn't decide where we were going to be dropped off in the world. So if there was any inherent superiority in being any of all these diverse, these white, black, Asian, whatever, you didn't have anything to do with it.
Right.
All you did was laid around the womb and you just popped out. And the popped out part is the part I want to clarify. I'm not, the ladies that have to go through this,
Yes.
the mothers, it doesn't just happen that easily. So I don't want them to think that I'm making light of their situation. What I'm trying to impress upon people that I interact with is, don't think you have the claim to something because of how you were born.
Correct. Yeah. There's no privilege.
No.
No.
There's
White
no
or black.
privilege, and there should be no shame.
Yes.
And I can't look at you and degrade you because you're female, and likewise me because I'm male. And I wish people would just get over it.
Correct.
And realize that you showed up as a child. You probably had friends that some people had friends they wouldn't associate with today because they feel like there's some stigma attached to
You're right.
that other person.
Yes, yes.
Children don't tend to know the hate and the mistrust and the doubts and the fears that adults have. So that means that's learned behavior. So part of my contribution to mankind, I hope, people-kind,
Oh, I understand.
before I leave here, is to try to alleviate some of that mistrust and fear, and let's get back to treating each other like we want to be treated.
Yes.
And that's in the Bible. I won't try to quote it, but those that know the Bible.
Oh, yeah, our golden rule.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about positive associations amongst your best resources, and the power of association, period. Because I know that's, part of, being successful, whether it's your friendships, your family, business associates, or whether you're an employee or, an owner. And so you talk about that, and I just want to, want you to read this space here. And then I'll probably, jump up and down when I hear a certain name or something.
Oh. With the open doors I've just shared come the need for us to be more selective in our choices. I'm happy with the choices I've made in connecting with others. By looking for the good in others, I've met people like Patricia Allen, Harvey Alston, Paula Palmer Green, Tina Hobson, Dolores Presley, Ramona Smith, Audrey Wiggins.
I was so shocked. And you know what? You're talking about Facebook and finding things negative on Facebook. When I read that, I'm like, what is he talking about? My name is in his book. I didn't even know you wrote the book.
I should have written a whole chapter about it, but
no way.
I did want to finish it.
Oh, right, exactly. He didn't want to speak over other folks either, because I'm sure there's some way more important people in your life than me. But thank you. I really appreciate that recognition. And like we talked a little too earlier, we don't know who we're making influence on. And here I'm looking up to you, and you're feeling positive about, an association with me, and that's very humbling, and I'm grateful that you even, felt that or got that from me, I should say, even to be, and also to be able to pin it in a publication. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Well, it was certainly my pleasure to do that. In fact, I went out and I looked at the things that you do, and I had to go lay down.
Me too.
Yeah, but you did them. I only read about them. But anyway, I appreciate all that you've done and are doing for the community, and
Praise God.
And having me on this. I'm famous now. Where I will be.
You're more famous. Let's say that. You're more famous.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. We just give you an extra 15 minutes tacked on all those years if you've out there been doing good and helping others. But Henry, what reflection or or perspective you want to leave with us today?
Well, I want to remind everybody that they have greatness within them, and it doesn't matter what you've been through. You have something that, I have a saying that we each have a calling that if left unanswered, the world will not be the same without us.
Wow.
I'm not going to try to memorize it because I'm not going to try to recite it, because if I miss something, then I'm going to feel bad.
Right.
But if you go to my website at www.successisyou.org,
successisyou.org,
you will find my quote, the way I wrote it, the way I believe in it, the way I couldn't memorize it, and that's my final message: is that we have to do what we have to do. Don't let doubters. This is clear. Don't let doubters keep you from your greatness, and you all have greatness. We all have something to contribute to this world. Obviously, government is not going to do it for us.
That's right.
It may do it to us, but not for us. So get out there, follow your dreams, get in touch with Audrey or follow Audrey and let her know what you're doing. If you're not doing anything,
Find
keep
something.
on knocking.
Right, exactly. And when the phone rings, answer. You got to answer the call.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need each other. Seriously, we need each other bad. We need the next generation, and in order to raise the next generation, we need to show them something, not just tell them.
That's right.
Our ancestors, too many of them didn't make it this far. for us to give up now.
Amen. Better keep on keeping on. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for your showcase with your reflections and perspectives, Mr. Ford.
Mister, as soon as the camera goes off, it's going to be a fight in the studio.
You better look at his face now. I'm going to get tug of war. No, I really appreciate him. Thank you so much. Oh my God. Thank you. Yeah, this is awesome. So remember, reflections and perspectives, powerful life lessons by Henry Ford. Thanks.
Thank you.